Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back again, and I'm back again with Federal Postal Court Judge in Australia, Hugh. And he's going to talk to us about the value of the non fungible tokens and the fungible tokens, as well as that golden word called NFTs that are coming your way. So I'm going to hand it directly over to Hugh now. Hugh? Explain to us, educate us. I'm eager to know.
Thanks, Mark, for the introduction. G'day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Hugh from Terra Australis. Non-fungible tokens and fungible tokens. So let me explain to you, those that are new to the space, what the meaning of non-fungible tokens, and then perhaps that explanation, you can compare that to what is fungible tokens. So what are they really? I guess in a nutshell, they're like unique digital pieces of blockchain controlled ownership. So MFTs can be like digital collectibles, art, virtual reality substances that represents reality, uh, ownership records of physical assets and crypto domain names, for to example. So to give a bit more depth to the explanation, they are a kind of cryptocurrency formed on a smart contract platform like Ethereum, and they are inimitable. That means they're unique. They cannot be copied, right? And it's a digital substance that is that you can own, that you can make some profits if you want to trade them. So just imagine them as like collectible cards. They usually start off as something, people find it a fad and fanatics, but later on it can have great value one day if you get an exceptional one. That means a unique one, and they all range in value, of course, and over time they increase in value. To comprehend further what it is, I like to, you know, well, let's just give you what the meaning of fungible means. The word fungible. So in economics, the word is utilized to define the assets that are similar. In other words, they are worth the same value. So fungible means it's worth the same value. For example, a dollar note, federal note, it's the same as if you have another federal note. Another example would be Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin, and the value is consistent. So that's fungible. It's similar, but non-fungible. It's unique. It's exceptional. So hopefully that would give the audience some appreciation of what fungible and non-fungible is. Mark?
Okay, let me ask you a question. So, as soon as you said that, Hugh, I had images in my head, whereas, hold on a minute. If I have a dollar and I have a Bitcoin, yes, both of them can go up in value and down in value. In other words, the purchasing power of a Bitcoin and the purchasing power of a US dollar can go up and down. That we've understood. Whereas the US dollar can be fractionalized infinity wise. So they can take one of those dollars and they can reprint that, give it a different serial number without anybody working for that extra dollar, i.e., the federal government can print it off without them actually working to earn or make that $1. And therefore, when they do that, that devalues the basement of the US dollar. In other words, every time they print an extra dollar without working for it, you actually lose. Yeah. So
right.
hence, it's a currency that is not capped, whereas Bitcoin is capped.
That's right.
Meaning that there is only ever going to be 21 million coins,
That's
period.
right. That's right.
And if the US dollar said we're never going to print any more money apart from the monies that people make, then of course
Mm,
it will always have value and there will be no inflation and there will be no deflation. So,
mm,
how the Federal Reserve Bank control as well as manipulate to their advantage is just simply to stop printing money, taking money out of circulation, causing a deflation. Yeah,
mm,
where there isn't enough money in circulation, where they're withdrawing it, as it were,
mm,
from the economy and banking it like they did in 2008, or printing a lot more of it and flooding it into the market so
mm.
that $1 that I have in my pocket actually loses value as the Federal Reserve prints more.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so the fungible element itself is highly toxic in the hands of the Federal Reserve Bank,
Mm,
but in the hands of honorable people like Bitcoin,
mm.
it's a wonderful mechanism because it's capped.
That's
Would
right.
that be an accurate estimate of what I have said about the currency market and how Bitcoin works?
I think you've given a very good explanation of the fiat system compared to the proper, like Bitcoin and the other coins that is unique. Sorry, that is scarce. That the word is scarce. It's limited in supply. And so I would say if I was to connect the non-fungible tokens, both Bitcoin, for example, and NFT are both considered cryptocurrencies. What makes NFT different is that they cannot be utilized directly to commercial trade. So Bitcoin, you can trade and buy things, right, with things, but with fungible, um, so with Bitcoin, it's fungible, like I said before. That means it can be exchanged or traded one for another. Okay, and it's limited supply, which makes it valuable. Um, for example, the value of one Bitcoin has equal value for another Bitcoin. On the other hand, two fungible are not the same. So they're not the same, even if they are on the same platform, or for that matter, in the same collection. Like you've got music, you got art. They're in the same platform, the same collection, but they're not the same because each art is unique, different. Um, and this is called the inimitable. I can't say that word. Inimitable collection,
Thank you.
collectibles. That is cannot be copied, or it's unique, and can be owned by one person at any point in time. So that's my explanation
Can I
for.
paraphrase that again?
Yes.
So, because $1 is not unique from another dollar apart from the serial number,
Mm,
and one Bitcoin is not unique from another Bitcoin, even though they have different serial numbers, they themselves are not unique. There is nothing unique about
yeah.
$2, and there's nothing unique about two Bitcoins.
Mm,
But the non fungible token, would I be correct in saying each one of those individual, or each individual is a poison word, but each token
yeah.
is itself a unique, has uniqueness in it that is unlike all the other tokens.
Yeah.
So a
Yes.
Rembrandt or a Picasso is that, and that's a
Mm,
token. So let's imagine a Rembrandt or whatever his name is an actual token. The painting is a token because
mm,
it was able to be digitalized. That token is so unique because that painting is unique, and because it
mm,
has a mathematical formula embedded into the painting, i.e., the token, it makes it unique because no other coin is unique like that. And if it ever gets floated in the public market, everybody will pick up that it's a replica and therefore it has no value. And the system itself will not allow you to replicate and everything because it will just
that's right.
bounce it off as an incorrect calculation. you know. So I'm starting to understand the power of non-fungible
Fungible.
tokens. Please continue explaining more to us.
Well, I guess the next question would be, why is it important? Why do we need MFTs? You know, I thought we have Bitcoin and we can sort of control our money, but let's combine what you've just said there, Mark, with the blockchain and the uniqueness of it. Possibly the most noticeable significant advantage of MFT is the market proficiency. Market proficiency. What do I mean by that? It's the adaptation of a physical asset into a digital one that restructures the procedure and eliminates intermediaries. In other words, the middleman. Okay, well, this is huge. All right, you get that. It eliminates the intermediary, and it transforms and restructures the physical and the digital. So
I don't fully understand. I'm sorry to cut right in. So what you've basically told me is that the transition of the virtual world now can couple itself with the physical world.
yes,
What we
and
call is
sometimes
that
it
what
can
they
be
call
all digital as
digitalize?
well.
Is that what they call digitalization?
Yes, digitalization. Everything can be digitalized,
Is that vice versa as well? Can
and
I
vice
digit?
versa.
I
Let
can
me think.
digitize my house, my car.
Yes, your house is unique. You know, like another house on the same street, it's unique. So you can digitize that, and you can cut out the middleman.
That means I
Um,
can cut out the land registry. I can cut out the surveyors, unless they're working for me, not the Crown. I can cut out the banks.
you can
Hey,
certainly cut out the
you
real
mean
estate.
I can actually buy your house when you
Mm.
tokenize it, and all that's in between me and you is a little computer program that's basically going 2 times 2 will always equal 4.
Yes, that's a good analogy. Yeah, it, it's that's a big statement. We and I we just made there. You know, it's a game changer. So let me give you more advantages and why it's important, Mark. It also develops business procedure and processes. For instance, an NFT for a wine bottle, for example, will make it easier for different people in the supply chain to intermingle with it and help track its origin, generation, and sale via a whole process. Because this is part of the smart contract, people can put things in there that would, that because it's unique as well. People can put other stakeholders to interact with it. Another example, identity management. Say the case of physical passports, for example, that needs to be generated at every exit and entry point. So by altering the individual passports into NFT, all of these have their own unique categorization features. So anything that you can in the physical side that you want to make it unique, you can express it in an NFT platform
So
in a very efficient way.
let me see if I can get my head around this again. What you've now told me takes it even beyond buying houses, cars, and removing the middleman. You're basically saying that I can tokenize my entire passport, and because the tokenized system removes the so-called trusted third party who has now proven themselves to be the third untrusted party, the third untrusted middleman, i.e., the so called governments, the
Mm.
privateers, the Federal Reserve Bank, the banks themselves, the high street banks, they have all proven themselves to be untrusted. And by tokenizing my passport, I can even bypass those federal ports, which are called airports, port authority, rail lines, bus stops, and all of these places, I I can tokenize it because when you tokenize it, it becomes 100% your property. In
That's
other
right.
words, that passport, that piece of paperwork is quite literally
Yeah.
mine, like the
Yeah.
land registry system that we created for the people of the world, logging
Yeah.
their property. I'm starting to get it now
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
non fungible token allows you to actually take 100% ownership of everything
Correct.
that is yours, that is mathematically backed up by mathematical precision,
Bingo.
because nobody
Precision.
can ever argue with a maths.
Maths.
Nobody
Exactly.
ever with mathematics, because
Ju-
then you would break the foundation of all communication.
Just like when David Windmiller says, a lawyer can argue if 3 + 5 is 8. They can't argue about that. So this is an extension of that concept that you cannot argue with maths and the the yeah it's just it is the very discipline and science of that. So this is the application in real life. So I guess consequently this whole thing we just got to have to know who owns it in the end, the real owner, the sole owner. So this one allows numerous owners, each accountable for a portion of a particular asset, whether it be a passport, whether it be music, a house, whatever it is, Mark. Whatever is in the physical side, you can map it, you can express it in this side. So yeah, I've answered that pretty comprehensively.
Thank you, thank you. I'm getting, look. I'm now seeing pictures of the Matrix, the movie Matrix, fusing with the physical world, because we know about hypnosis and we know that the land of Oz is actually the real world in Wizard of Oz.
Mm,
We know that's where the real world is, and the dream transformation is to take human beings back into that black and white world of the farmer's life, of that
mm,
of being sheep and obeying the sheriff and the courts and so on and so forth. Hence, it's all in black and white where you actually don't own anything. We know that the real world in the story of Wizard of Oz is actually, that is, Oz is the real world. That is where the witches are. This is where the wizards are. This is where the
yes.
bankers are. This is where the flying monkeys of the narcissist are. This is where all the games are played, where the
Mm,
gold and silver exchange. This is where you make your friends, the lion, the scarecrow, the tin man, and they all come together, which is all part of trust law.
mm,
So what you have just said to me should be mind-bogglingly beautiful for those people that are in their 20s, their 30s, their 50s and 40s, because they all have memory of this. What you have
mm,
just told me is that their physical world is about to be
transfer.
transformed
Yes.
and securitized. I don't mean
Securitized.
securitized. I mean a security cordon is put around there in digital format,
Mm,
in virtual world, that is representative of the physical world, so the physical world can remain more safer in the
that's right.
hands of the people rather
That's
than in
right.
the hands of a few, like the privateers that set up the governments to give the general public the illusion that the governments are working for the people, but they are not. They're working for a small group of people. In this country, it's three people
Three.
run the entire system
Wow.
that we know. That we know. So I'm starting to understand these movies like The Matrix, because that's like saying, and that's factual now, The Matrix is actually the real world. The matrix is the one that lives above the subterranean. The matrix is the program that will keep the physical world uncorrupted, because it is man that corrupts things. It is the self-interest that corrupts things. So I'm now starting to see how Wizard of Oz and The Matrix and all of these types of movies is basically saying the Matrix is the real world. That is the real world. And Zion, which is another word for, you know, philosophies out of Israel, the land of Zion, which is purely mental, purely a philosophical statement, what they call the Zionist, because this is where they live. They live in the land, in the subterranean world of Zion, fighting against the factual world that it wants to invade their world through mathematics, correctness. But they portray it in such a way that they create a huge trauma in human beings to fight, say, you have to fight the system, you have to fight the mathematics, you have to fight the matrix, you have to fight that thing that lives in the real world, and you have to go subterranean to fight that, thereby subduing yourself.
Mm.
Look, Hugh, I haven't quite finished with the analogy, and I know this is about you explaining to us what it is, but I've had this epiphany. If I was a banker and I didn't want human beings to understand the potency of smart contracts, which is what my next question is going to be, and I didn't want people to understand the potency of what NFTs, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrencies are, i.e., the physical and virtual ownership, 100% ownership of something.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would make movies. I would make movies like The Terminator to frighten human beings, to say that if you ever allow an intelligent program that keeps sanctity into your world, that program will come alive and it will see you as the virus and destroy you, thereby robbing human beings to traumatization, like a horror movie, like The Omen, or like so many of those horror films that you see. They successfully rob human beings of ever going digital, because the digitalization will take over the world, and the Matrix will come out of the future, and the Terminator will come out of the future and destroy you with mathematical precision. And that's exactly what needs to be done. The world of fiat banking, the world of the privateers, the governments, all needs to be collapsed with mathematical precision.
Precision. Yes. Yes.
That's
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 amazing.
I get it. I get
Yeah.
it now, what you're saying, the potency of it.
Yeah.
For the first time in history, virtual world and physical world is about to interlock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark,
for the
you want?
sanctity of human beings.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess you want to know how it works. I mean, how does MFT work? I mean,
Oh, before we do that, can you
yeah.
explain to me what a smart contract is?
Okay. So a smart contract has the ability to um, do the procedure or the rules without human intervention. So so if say you want to buy and sell, there's certain procedures that needs
Sorry.
to be met. All right. And so the smart contract has those logic and those rules in place without human intervention, and therefore it avoids fraud, duplication, and generally makes things run a more smoother and more efficient. So that's kind of like in a layman's term explanation. There's more technical stuff because it's all encoded in programs and stuff like that. That's really smart contract.
So let's see if I can paraphrase that. I want to buy your house, okay? And I want to buy it on the back of money that I've raised from my friends and family through cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And you're going to create, and I'm going to create a smart contract that will allow the philosophy of that contract, the sanctity of that contract, to be digitalized and operated automatically. So that means you're not going to hand over the key to me unless you get the money, uh, in your bank, in
That's right.
your crypto wallet. And not only that, I'm going to put in, yeah, but Hugh, you're going to have to decorate it. You're going to have to fix this for me, fix that for me before I take ownership of it. And you agree to it or you not agree to it. And all that can be computerized. In other words, the contracts that we would write on paper, we would write it on paper, and then the coder would codify it, shall we
Mm.
say, using the simplistic word of codification, into computer program. So it is now visible to you and I, and the sanctity of that contract is run by a computer, therefore non-corruptible. Because what is a computer? It's a calculator. And why would
Mm.
a calculator lie to you? Calculator is incapable of lying to you.
That's right.
I get it.
It doesn't.
I'm starting to understand it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Calculator don't
beautiful.
lie. Yeah. Yeah. So 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 yeah, so that's smart contract. And how does, I mean, how does MFT work? You probably want to know how MFT works, and
I
I want
do.
to
I
explain
do.
that. And actually, it's very important for the audience to know how does NFT works. Well, you've mentioned smart contract, right? So to understand how creative works are tied with NFT, because this is where all that value is, right? It's important that we recognize how NFT function, and non-fungible tokens are unique crypto tokens that are handled by a blockchain. So that's the word blockchain. This blockchain performs a decentralized record book that tracks transactions, history, and ownership for every NFT, right? It tracks it. And these are really coded to have a unique ID. So this is part of the program, and other metadata. So it's metadata means it's linked to a specific feature, location, whether it be location or uniqueness of that particular data that no other token will have duplicate. It's like your thumbprint. It's unique to every other thumbprint. So this unique ID and metadata is no other token has the same, and it cannot be duplicated. So this procedure offers the NFT the characteristics of scarcity and originality, that makes it so strikingly, different when joined with the digital media. Um, I guess the NFT is coded, using the smart contract that we mentioned, and that administers the feature such as authenticating. So you were talking about authentication. If you buy a house, sell a house, you have to go through the authenticating. So the NFT has a smart contract as part of their coded software, coded to authenticate the ownership and supervising the transfer of those NFTs. Because
Supervising? Who's going to supervise it?
the smart contract part of the NFT will authenticate firstly the ownership, so the guy who has it, and then once he wants to transfer it to another owner or buyer, it does the supervision of that transfer, making sure that it goes from point A or guy A to person B,
I
right?
think I
Properly.
understand. I think I
Yeah.
understand.
Mm.
It's so hard for me, Hugh, to remove these middlemen because they've embedded into our psyche and into the bureaucracy. I keep flipping back into thinking supervision. Oh, there must be a man now supervising, the term. They've really impregnated us human beings into thinking that we can never do without a middleman. One of the African leaders out of Africa came out and said, "We don't need adult supervision in Africa. Go away.
mm,
We'll take care of our own affairs. We don't
mm.
need your nanny state, all these things. We'll tell you if we need it. Until then, shut up and go away." He's putting it in very basic terms.
Yeah.
You say, we don't need this kind of garbage that you've been creating all around the world and creating warfare out of it. What a beautiful statement to actually be able to codify that into a computer program that keeps mathematical record. It's a
And
wonderful
it's
system.
not discriminating. It's not discriminating. It's not doesn't have favorites. It's a procedure that repeats the coding every single time, and it doesn't make errors. And I guess it's most importantly, it transcribes, or it goes over every race, religion, faith, and it just concentrate on the procedure and things at hand to make it work. That's what I want to say in layman's term. The coding of it concentrates on the task at hand to make that transaction smooth, correct, unique, and secure. And
Okay.
so that's how people can eliminate the middleman, which usually most of the time we've been handicapped by that, assuming that we are unable to do it ourselves, incompetent. But really, they're the one that makes us the way we are now. So I think a lot of people will kind of have to get used to this new transformation. That they
Can I
can
run
be,
past?
yeah.
Sorry, Hugh. Have you said enough about that? Do you think people need to
Yeah.
hear more about it?
No, I think I think I've explained how it works. In terms of the coding. Yeah. So you have any questions for me?
So I want to be able to draw human beings back into the real world of how that works again. So, coming back to the house, coming back to your children, your car, your cell phone, your email address, your own website. We actually don't own any of it, do we?
No, the answer is
Your own
no.
property is owned by land registry, hence they can do with it whatever they want and do. That's how millions of people lost their homes, because their homes don't belong to them.
Yep.
The car that you registered belongs to, in this country, the DVLA, because you register it, surrender it. And that's why they can issue tickets anytime that they want, crush your car, take it away, all these kind of things that they were doing. You don't own your children, so if you take your children out of school, they'll come and take your child away from you, kidnap the child, and sell it on if need be. I mean, actually sell the baby on, actually sell the infant on.
That's
This type of evil needs a hanging sentence. These people need a hanging sentence, you know,
right.
um, because these are intolerable. And you've
Mm,
just basically told me you can also tokenize your birth certificate, your live life claim, and of course your baby, because that's your property. You created it. You created your baby.
yeah,
The
it came out
baby
of
is
your
yours.
loins. It came
Came
out of your
out of
loins.
your
Yeah.
yeah, came out of your loins and came
Yeah.
out of your partner's, not partner, your wife or your lover's
Heaven and
created
earth.
it.
Yeah.
That's yours. And
Yeah.
at the moment
Offspring.
when you register it, it belongs to somebody else.
That's right.
By tokenizing it, you've essentially saved child kidnapping, children being taken away by force for adoption,
Mm.
because it has a greater market value than the market value that the parents are going to create. That's how these people work and
Wow.
think. They use the admiralty courts to rob people of their money, rob people of their houses, their cars, put people into prison because they don't know how the system works. All this in the next few weeks, few months, few years is going to transform this whole world, is how I'm actually seeing it, because NFTs are not futuristic. they've actually been around for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, it's been around for a while. The concept of digitalization, something in, like virtual from physical virtual, is not a new idea, Mark. It's actually an old idea, you know.
Like taking a piece of gold, issuing a bond on the
Yeah,
back of that gold, and then when somebody's not looking, issuing another bond certificate on
yeah.
the back of the same piece of gold, but not telling the other person or the man or the woman that we've issued two lots of bonds on the back of one single coin, gold coin.
Mm,
That's fraud. And they call
mm,
that fractionalized banking.
yeah.
I'm starting to, by examining the world, how it works now, and how it will work on the back of NFTs, is a lifesaver. It's like
Mm,
oxygen to my face. It's
mm,
like insulin to my body. It's like food into my biomechanism.
mm,
I don't know what words to use. Hugh, look, I would like to hear a little bit more about how these digital collectibles, as you call them, carry value. Can you
yeah.
explain a little bit more? Because you
Okay.
use some words that I don't fully understand,
Yeah.
and I'm playing, the dumbed down, as it were, the one that's been
Yeah.
deprived of knowledge through the newspapers, televisions.
Yep.
Something that I need to address sometime this week or next
Mm.
week. Can you
So,
explain a little bit more?
so Mark, we've known about the first revolution, industrial revolution, second, and then now the third. Now, and then there will be the fourth. But just talk about this particular point in time. People all around the world, have their lives in cyberspace more often than ever before. I mean, looking at the lockdowns and the restrictions over this pandemic, people are in cyberspace. And so virtual items are now considered real money, interestingly. And there is no question that the digital collectibles won't vanish anytime soon. So, your question about carrying value, just look at the spread of smartphones that allows us to be connected. And so these collectibles are traded on these things, on these smartphones and computers. And so it has led to a very powerful movement that carries more processing power. Now a smartphone carries more processing power in your pocket than if it was compared to a big mainframe back 100 years ago. So it's ripe for this particular product, right? Particular MFT, you call it. And so how does it carry value? Well, one of the things is the scarcity, the scarcity of it. So the smart contracts, as we mentioned before, can guarantee and warrant the maximum supply of the asset. So there is only a certain amount that's available for purchase, and each one of them is unique. So the second element of it is the utility of it, the use of it. So instead of just simply existing as an image on the internet, the ERC 1155, which is what it's been coded on the network, the tokens can have an extensive range of efficacy, right?
Efficacy.
Efficacy, yeah, comprising um, of items that operate within a numerous apps and games. So they have apps for that, the NFT. The digital collectibles can also become more valuable after conception. So they first float it and everyone buys it, and then they buy it at a certain amount. Usually it starts off with low, and then they come up in price. And due to their uniqueness, these go up in price at different rate because they're all different, you know, just like houses, they're all different. Some houses go up more than others. And so, you know, for the creator, it adds to their development. So they come out with more. So it's almost like funding that creativity. You know what I mean? If they're going to create a digital asset and they get money for it and proper rewarded, compensated for it, unlike the middleman who takes a big cut from their creativity, these guys, these artists, creators of these digital collectibles get rewarded for it. And then they offload that to those who buy it. And then they also get compensated for, either getting in there early or, the timing. So that's how they carry the value. And last of all, it's also the other feature that carries the value is the provable provenance. It's provable. In other words, the blockchain offers a publicly visible chain of trades. So it's publicly tradable. So there's no piracy or duplication. So if you are purchasing, say, a pulse rifle on the ground that it was held by your favorite esports, for example, contestant to attain the winning kill, then that blockchain, you've got it. So there's some people use some people buy certain collectibles in esports if they're into baseball. And we can give examples of what the uses of are later on. There's so many uses of it. So
we're talking about collectibles in gaming scene, aren't we? So, and that's only one facet of it. Although it's going to be that metaverse, as they call, is going to be, big as a investment opportunity. I think I've got that. I think I understand it, that these items, these clothing that people wear in gaming, and these guns or these things that they buy, they can actually own it and sell it on to other gamers. And the smart contracts will allow the originator, the designer of that, gun or that sword or that uniform,
avatar,
the avatar,
armor from one of the superheroes, anything, so, Mark, and
so they can actually make money from it every time it's sold. And not only that, the system, the smart contract, can have it in such a way, with even properties, cars, etc., that every time you sell it, that the person behind it gets a cut, right up down to the originator. So if it's changed hand 10 times, you can make it that 10 times every single one of those people that once had it will have a small transaction fee, or however big it is. In other words, each individual one that previously owned it would make sure the sanctity of that product remains safe, because it's a continuous investment. Yes. It's like, you paint a Rembrandt, you build a house, you tokenize it, and every time a man or a woman sells that painting or that house, the originator, the one that originally owned it, will always get a cut. You can make it like that, couldn't you? And it can be small,
royalty, or it can in other words, something pretty much like royalty, isn't it, Mark? Huh?
Yeah. So the royalty goes all the way down the chain.
Yeah.
You can. Provable. Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah.
Yeah. We see. We as postal federal courts, we always talk about the chain, the custody, the chain of evidence, the trail of evidence, all in the accounting world, audit trail. So this has a provable chain, publicly visible chain of trades. So that means one, it came from the artist, the creator, then it got sold to this person A, and this person A held it how long, and they're all part of that database, and it's all trackable back. So, no one's, you can't lie in this system. You can't lie about it. So that's the beauty of it, Mark. So I think I've explained that.
Yeah, that's like the proof of work. They've actually worked for it. They created it. So you have proof of it in mathematical terms.
Yeah.
And as a result, it will always continue having value as long as there's a need for it, or a want for it. Want being gaming. A need for it would be house, cars, transport, that sort of stuff. And of course, because it's backed by proof of work,
it's valid.
it's
It's
valid,
it's
and
valid.
it
That's it.
validates
Value.
that, yeah,
It validates
that
that value
Bitcoin,
or
that
that
token.
token. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, Mark. I
Unlike, sorry, beg your pardon. Go
go
on.
on. No, no. I said it's beautifully set out to be transparent, valid, provable, trackable. It's so that people have confidence in putting something into it.
Yeah,
And then that's, yeah. So you want to say something, Mark?
yeah. So the opposite of that would be every time the Federal Reserve Bank in any country in the world prints a note, they give you no proof of work.
No.
Because they don't give you proof of work, it means they have not worked for it, but just simply printed it off,
Plucked it out of thin air.
plucked it out of thin air. And by doing so, they're actually robbing you of your own money, of your own life, of your own sweat equity, your own commercial energy,
Yes.
because they're devaluing how long you can live on that $1. Previously, you
Yeah.
could live for a day on a dollar. Now, you can't even live 2, 3 minutes without spending a dollar. That's how
Yeah.
much they devalued it.
Correct. Correct.
Well, I think I get it. Yeah, the proof of work is proven, and therefore it cannot be multiplied and divided, and hence it's non-fungible. And they have to
That's
show
right.
proof of work in order to tokenize something, proof of
Yeah.
ownership.
Ownership.
Without that, there is no ownership. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
So,
Next
I have
question.
another question. What are some examples of different uses of NFT? Even though we've spoken about it,
Mm,
I think from your own words, I would like to hear it, because you're going to be one of the educators on this program, the program that's going to be held, I think, first week of next
next
year.
year, January. Yeah.
Yes, I think you are one of the
It's an honor.
teachers. And we're going to be discussing that wonderful opportunity that we've created for the general public. So please do tell us, what are the different types of NFTs?
Well, the one of the most common sort of NFT will be art, because art is accessible in digital art. Like there's already digital art back before NFT was created, and it's a mixture of technology and imagination. So it's got that element of uniqueness about it. So each art piece will be different. You can name a few very, very popular artists, and there are many exclusive editions moving artwork around. And so you can tokenize these real world asset and creations, right? So that's one. The other one is, I guess, music. All right, music files can also be associated with NFTs. How? Okay, each individual file is capable. It's unique as well. Each song is unique. All right, and I guess the most like, for example, iTunes. If you have iTunes, you don't actually own any of it, but you only have a license to access those music. But if you have an NFT in the music, you are, from the creator of the musician, you buying it, you are the ownership, and then you can have it a collectible, and then how rare it is, those old songs or whatever, you can on sell that. Some of them are as old as on vinyl disc, those turntable,
Mm.
those really, really good songs. What else can we
So can
there's
I
all yeah.
pause? Can I pause?
Yep.
As you know, I'm a practical man. I live a incredibly simplistic life, but I can't eat art, I can't drive an art, and I cannot live in art. How can the NFTs be extended to food supply, to transport, to farming? The seeds. that you buy, can I NFT them? Can I put a smart contract on my farm, on the produce of that farm, the wheat, the corn or the baker's bread? How would that work?
So anything that has a uniqueness of it, whether it is a uh, super rare business processes or way that you grow things, for that particular fruit, um, you can also have a number of available spots for those who wants to take it. I mean, for example, we have a thing called here, those copyright patent office. Think about that. Oh my goodness. You know a lot of stories how they've been stolen, right, Mark? Oh, that's the middleman.
That's
And
the
so,
middleman.
yeah, so I don't want to say any more of that because it's a very hot topic, that copyright patent thing. But yeah, you can, Mark.
So I
Anything that
suppose what I'm
represents.
saying is, how will this safeguard farming and my food supply, stop it being so inflationary? How can NFTs do that? At the moment, we have a futures options trades where you can say the price of corn is going to be up or low, and
Mm,
the farmer can do that and have uh, he can create a standard unit. So even if it's higher, he's not going to make the profits. Even if it's low, he's not going to make the profits, but he's guaranteed a
mm,
certain amount of money from the futures market. So he's always remaining in profit, even if it's a bad crop or a good crop. So would
mm,
I be right in saying that you can convert these so-called futures options, which are highly manipulative, into an NFT of proof of work because the farmer owns the farm, he planted it, he's estimated
mm,
to have this much corn, and
mm,
hence human beings that have put money on the lower or the higher end or the lower end of the futures market, that will be theirs without the middleman manipulating the market. Would I be
that's
saying
right.
something like that?
Yes, yes. It's a proof of work. He's got all the supply chain. He's done. It's trackable. He's proven that it's out to market and it's ready to be taken in between the buyer and the seller. So there's no possibility of forging it and frauding it. Like he hasn't got it and he said he's got it because it's all shown on the blockchain and the smart contract. And so you're right, exactly what you say. The future market is a manipulative platform where it penalizes those, doing the right thing because of the way it is all rigged up.
So I'm
Uh,
going to create a scenario for you.
mm,
I used to be heavily involved in the so-called free energy production industry, as it were. The perpetual wheels, the Tesla coils. I was heavily romantically involved with it. What I have come to understand since that journey is that hundreds of people have actually created these devices, but they remain quiet because of the fear of being hacked, the fear of being stolen from, the fear of being threatened. So they create it and run it and keep it to themselves because they don't have the security to release that information, and the thousands of hours, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds and dollars that they've put in creating these devices. While I'm speaking about that, the internet just simply said, "We're cutting you off." It's saying that your signal, is too poor, so stop the video. Yeah, what a
whoops.
pathetic bums these people are. So if if I had the means to know how a particular perpetual motion worked, or how a real Tesla, not the Tesla actor car thing, but the real Tesla, as it were. And I don't mean even the face of Nikola Tesla. I'm talking about the principles of the Tesla coil. in electricity and electronics and discharge and voltage discharge and so on and so forth. If I knew how to create these perpetual motion wheels
Mm.
or these free energy devices in quotation marks,
Mm.
I'll be able to create an NFT on it and guaranteed it is mine and safeguard it to the rest of the world. Not only that, every time, say I sold 1,000 of those teaching mechanisms to 1,000 people,
Yeah.
and they built it themselves and it works, and now they don't need the educational program, they can sell it on to another man or a woman,
To
you know.
yeah.
And as a result, every time there is an exchange, the he gets rewarded and the originator, the creator, the teaching mechanism gets rewarded. In doing so, the royalty not just goes back to the originator, but down to every single person that once had a custody. And you can put that as a smart contract.
Mm.
And in doing so, it's the interest of those individual, those one or two people or 10 people or 20 people that had custody of these teaching trainings to make sure that teaching training always stays in value and in the eyes of the public, and that the
Mm.
teaching is replicated to the point of execution where they're actually building it. And hence, it can quite literally spread all over the world and bypass the need to burn fossil fuel. Fossil
Yes.
fuel is a lie, we know that. Okay, there is no fossil fuel. It's the earth producing the oil and the gas. It's got nothing to do with fossils and little creatures. If you said
Mm.
that to a geologist in Russia, he'll laugh at you, fossil fuel.
Fossil
And
fuel.
so, as because of this, it's almost a guaranteed way that they will be financially rewarded for the
Mm.
intellectual properties that they do. But not only that, the people that are buying into it, it's a perfect financial investment because they're
Yes.
guaranteed a continuous royalty as the teaching course or the patent or the device
Yes.
moves down the chain where thousands of people are now buying those courses. Can you imagine 1,000 courses going out to 1,000 people? And those
Mm.
1,000 people now build those units and they now can sell that to another. Now that's become 2,000. The 2,000
Mm.
has now become, and it just goes on and on. Within
Yeah.
1 year, an entire country can have the principles of how to generate
Mark,
electricity.
Mark, it will heal the earth in
It
no
will heal
time.
the earth because in
Yeah.
1 year of lockdown, how beautifully did the earth heal? How beautifully
Mm.
did the earth heal? How close did we come for nature itself to be destroyed by the hands of these Committee of 300 called
Mm.
Olympians? The bankers that wanted to bring nature herself down to her knees so the people will have to now pay for the very air, the light that they breathe, the chemtrails that used to block out the sunlight.
Yeah.
The carbon taxes. For every time you do something, you have to pay a tax. In the Victorian era, they used to have windows that were blocked up. And if you wanted to unblock the window, you would have to pay an extra bit on your rent, and they used to call it sunshine tax. In other words, there were no windows in houses. They were bricked up, and if you want it unbricked, you had to pay an extra
Sunshine.
rent.
Oh dear. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is
So
how
yeah.
close, ladies and gentlemen, this is how close we came. If the Titans did not intervene, if we did not intervene, we would have been locked down in perpetual servitude to these banks, and the police and the army would have supported all of that. Because I have to say this, and I have to think about also what I'm saying. I've known the police in this country for over, 50 years.
Hmm.
50 years. And all I've witnessed is wholesale pillage of people's houses, cars, backing up the privateers, the rapists, making all sorts of false accusations at people. And then when one or two does a good thing, it's publicized as if to say that's what the entire police do for the entire country. They don't. They work
Mm,
for a small group of people. Did you, you know, so I don't want to give it a political speech on this, but what is
yeah.
being offered is so beautiful to me. I don't know what to say, Hugh. I'm going to go on
Yeah.
to the next one.
Next
Okay.
question.
What is the current trading market size of the NFT?
Okay, this is a good question, Mark.
And
The market.
I've got hay fever, so I do apologize. You know,
You can mute
so
your. You can mute your.
that
Yeah.
let human beings hear natural sounds because these are natural sounds. We don't need to be shy of them.
Okay.
And if people are put off by natural sounds, then they got no business being listening to this. You know, just go away because we don't want to deal with those type of people. You know, dress in a particular way, look in a particular way, unless if you don't, we're not going to listen to you. Well, on a personal level, I don't want you. You know, those sort of mindsets. So just go away.
Mm.
That's what I have to say.
I like your honesty,
Sorry,
Mark.
Young.
I like your honesty. Yeah.
Thank you.
Candidness. Yeah. So the market for MFC is still it's right quite hard to measure compared to the cryptocurrency market. That's because of a lack of of the spot value for assets. But if we look at the secondary trading volume, that is peer-to-peer sales of MFT between computers, um, then you can see the real market size, and it's not small. Um, we are talking about secondary market. We are talking about approximately 90 million US dollars since February at the point in time, February 2021. So back in 2018, if you can remember, there was a thing called crypto kitties. There's a crypto kitties bubble. You know, people can look it up. There was a bubble for that, and the amount of the distinctive account intermingling with MFT developed slowly. However, steadily, there was 8,500 accounts in that time, February 2008, and it went over to 20,000 accounts. So you can see that there's a large growth of it. Just in 1 year alone, December 2019, so it went to 20,000 accounts. So I guess the market appears to be motivated by the power consumers, you know, those that know what it is. So right now on the on the metrics, we are seeing anything on average, say on the OpenSea purchaser, for example, they've bought $943 worth of value, right? And the median consumer purchased about $42 worth of. So they've ranged in values. So they can buy anything as low as 40 something dollars, as much as 900, under $1,000.
So the
But
NFTs at the moment are floating around with a market range of about $40 to $900,000.
$943, right?
Thank you for the precision.
Yeah. Yeah, run about there. But so people can check those collectibles, you know, they range between there. But now some of them have gone crazy prices. Heard someone that they've gone into the millions. So yeah, I don't want to give too high in the spy, but that's just on average. You know, I'm talking about average numbers here. I'm not talking about unique one-offs, crazy, you know, um, out of this world one. You know, for example, MFT, a rock from Mars or something, or from Pluto, and they go for $1 billion. You know, there's nothing like it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about normal, you know, music, whether it be music or some esports or some avatar. That's the range. Yeah, that's the market. So it's still
Well,
early days, ladies and gentlemen. It's still early days. So
now,
we've got a lot to go
let
yet.
me cover the early days. This is like what you are talking about the NFTs. That's like a live broadcast being broadcasted, say 4 or 5 years ago about Bitcoin when it was a few $100s per coin. So if we did something similar to this on Bitcoin 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm,
that that $100 would now be worth like 3,000.
mm,
That $3,000 that they might have invested 4 or 5 years ago would be like close on to $1 million.
mm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So us broadcasting this way in advance before the general public catch on, because there's a news blackout on this. There's no
Very little
newspapers,
coverage.
yeah, very
Yeah.
little coverage because it's just a fringe thing.
It, it,
It's just
it,
something fringe. You know, it is said that the steam engine is thousands
mm,
of years old. They had working models, and it has also made human beings to believe through falsification of archaeology and
mm,
philosophy that the Greeks only ever saw the steam engine as a toy. I don't think anybody would be stupid enough to do that. We know that steam engine was suppressed century after century, and
wow.
then only it broke out during that golden age, as they call the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Just as, human beings believe that Bitcoin is just a toy, they don't think it's a toy anymore. So the NFTs looks like they're toys, but they are
Yeah.
not toys.
They're not
They are not
fads.
toys. They are not
Not
fads.
fads. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where do you see the future of NFTs? Where do you see it going to? Even though I explored quite a lot of it.
Well, for the time being, much of the focus on NFT is centered around gaming. You know, like sort of like emerging markets, artwork, and maybe a few crypto collectibles. However, over time, I think the NFT are entering into a day-to-day necessity. Items like
Interesting
items,
word. Interesting word.
day-to-day
Necessity.
necessities rather
Quote
than just
unquote.
just novelty, right? Necessity versus novelty. Now, why would that be, right? We think about it, that more and more digitalization, more and more we've got smartphones, we've got a lot of internet of things, things like that. And so the platform can only grow. And I guess gaming is spearheading that in a big way, because that's usually the Z generation. I've heard of the Z generation, the Z generation. You got the baby boomers, you got the X, and you got the Y, and you got the Z. And those Z generations, they can, if you give them a PC, they go like their hands are like, they just know what to do with it. So they will be the first one to take up. So people play, say, even say Roblox. Have you heard of that? That's a very popular one on the kids platform. They actually do kind of MFTs to each other. They have these avatars and they say, Dad, I can buy this. It's going to go up in value. It's a form of MFT. Okay. And so, uh, but what we want to do is that we want to concentrate on a couple of real world cases, like in real estate properties. They're going to be a necessity. Cut out the middleman, and that's how I see the thing going. So it's always going to grow as
So,
people can see
in the
this.
real
Yeah,
world of cars, aeroplanes, fuel, food, tokenization is going to be a necessity rather than a
a
novelty,
fad or
a
novelty.
fad, a
Yeah,
novelty, a
yeah,
necessity. Water is a
necessity.
necessity, food is a necessity,
Hmm.
shelter is a necessity. That's basically
Proving
use.
proving origin where it is, food safety, state of work. That's a necessity because people are more aware of the dangers that comes through the food. And we're just talking about food. We're not even talking about clothing and things that we will use every day. Right now, it's just gaming and art, but people think, oh, that's a luxury, it's a novelty, but no, it's moving into the necessity. So that's where I'm looking at it.
I think
Yeah.
I understand. Clothing, essentially, tokens are going to be the new dollar, the new
Yeah.
US
Yeah.
dollar, because you'll be buying things with
Perfect.
tokens and not US dollar or pounds or euros. Would I be correct?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because of value, they carry value. What is money? Money
It's
carries
value.
value. It carries purchasing power, and instead of diluting it, what we are at the moment in this current system of toxic fiats, this is actually it's a deflationary scarcity, and it retains the value, it captures the value and more, and it rewards the originator as well as the in between, the ones that exchange it and transfer it in between. And so it helps them with their entrepreneurship if they want to involve in that sort of business and processes, as well as encourage more development and more creativity,
Yeah.
rather than getting sucked out by the agents, and they can't
So
work on that project.
I'm very
Mhm.
keen to ask this question again. From the logic of what you are saying, not only will socks and trousers and suits, land, cars, the sweat equity that you generate will be tokenized,
Mm.
but which proves 100% ownership of that is yours. But you will also be buying and selling these things in tokenization, where that
Yes.
each token has no middleman, has no bank to control
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
the whole market is quite literally a free market flow of energy, flow of commercial activity, a flow of things that are being offered and bought.
And more
Thing,
quality stuff too, by the way, Mark. Quality stuff. We don't get fake brands and clothing that flood the market right now, just like the fiats. We don't get fake
yeah,
brands, but we're going to get quality from the very creator themselves. In other words, all those brand like the clothing that people wear because they want to
yeah,
show off the brands, because they're usually quality made.
yeah.
Well, guess what? In the future, you can wear that like as if it's just given, because there's no more middleman. There's no more fake stuff anymore. So quality will definitely increase, bang for your buck or bang for your value, in other words.
I
So,
think I
so
understand. So
mm,
in industry, it's a vile and disgusting thing that they do, and it's called engineered obsolescence.
oh,
Engineered obsolescence. So what
yeah.
they do is take the most simplistic to the most complex, like a car, computer, and they engineer it to fail at a particular point in time. In other words, that
Mm,
washing machine, that car, that house, that road, that airplane, that pump action gun, that
mm,
food item on the shelf are all engineered to expire and break down at a particular point in time. In
mm,
other words, they're engineered to degrade very quickly. That includes grandfather clocks. They've been at this for a very long time. So, would I want to buy a washing machine, a car, a house, an aeroplane, a shotgun if I knew it had engineered obsolescence in it? It has less value. So, the
mm,
tokenization allows you to see whether it has engineered obsolescence on it or not, like a computer program.
mm,
We know that Microsoft uses, and everybody thinks everything runs on Microsoft's program called Windows. It doesn't. Only less than 1% of things actually run on Microsoft Windows. Everything else runs on with a computer program called Linux that has got no engineered obsolescence in it. But
mm.
Microsoft Windows, we know, has lots of obsolete, engineered obsolescence in it. In
So
other
they can
words,
sell you the versions. So
so
they
it's
can
only the
sell you
Windows
the
7,
yeah,
Windows 2,
that's
Windows
it.
9, DOS, this, DOS,
It's,
just like
uh,
cars, and the computer
yeah,
program. And this is what my own mechanic told me 10 years ago when I used to
for God's
drive. I
sake.
stopped driving for a long time ago, for a long time now. Even though I do drive, I don't drive, own a car anymore
Actively
because
drive. Yeah.
actively drive, as it were. This is what he said to me, Mark. Your car is now gone over 160,000 miles. Okay,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with your car. Absolutely nothing wrong. But you see
Mm-hmm.
that little computer that's on the just under your radio. You see that little computer. That little computer is telling the rest of the engine to malfunction beyond repair.
It's
Yeah,
called
that
error code.
computer. Yeah, what's it called?
Error code.
Error code. Yeah,
Error code. It pops up error code and then
yeah. It's
yeah.
engineered to stop your car from working because they don't want it. The emission is perfect. You see, I'm one of these people, as
Yeah.
you know. If I get a car or a computer or a camera or something, I really look after it. I would once every 4 or 5 years overhaul the entire rolling stock of the car, wheel
Wow.
bearings, hubs,
Yeah.
tires, belts, chains, whatever it is. I would completely overhaul it, so it will go for another 50,000 miles or whatever
It will
it
never
is.
break down, Mark, if you
It never
say that.
breaks down. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the entire rolling stock. And I would also includes the electronics as well. I would overhaul it because
Yeah.
it's cheaper to overhaul a car, than it is to buy a new car, because I'm guaranteed that car will run for a good 5 years. But that
Mm.
computer is stopping your car from working. Now, if you stuck another computer in there, it will pick up what this car is and it will put the bug back in. But without that computer, this car is not going to run, Mark. Scrap the bloody car. So I
Wow.
had to scrap.
Scrap that.
I had to scrap a perfectly good car that could have easily done another 160,000 miles,
Easily.
and the
Yeah, easily.
emissions on it was better than the brand new cars that come out. I mean,
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah. I mean, look, I keep my stuff clean. I keep my stuff working smoothly. Yeah, and it
Mm.
is deliberate interference. So the tokenization will show whether engineered obsolescence has taken place on a computer program or on a physical item like a car, a
Mm.
house, or even a dam that blocks up a river. Because we know they use concrete that will only last for about 110 years. And then they say you have to be blown up, destroyed, and then rebuilt. Whereas
Oh,
concrete, like in the underground sewage in London, is created to last 1,000 years, which is the lifespan of the Roman concrete system. And
wow.
what they will tell you is that, oh, we don't know the Roman concrete system that they were using. It's all very mysterious, and that formula disappeared. No, they use it in the underground, in the sewage system that's made to last 1,000 years. So,
1,000 years. Oh, man. Why can't
so
we just do that?
now let me go a little bit further. Are
Yeah.
you now telling me, on the back of what I have just said to you, that an entire city can also be tokenized?
An entire city of its constituents of the physical side that people transact. Yes.
An entire planet?
if if we are into planetary star galaxy trading, yeah. Mark,
The whole
we're
world
going
can be digitalized, and
galactic.
that's what the
Yeah,
world is.
that's it.
Now,
It's a rocket ship to whatever you want to go where, Mark.
what
From
do
the
they
simplest
say? Next stop
next up.
is wherever it's going to stop. Next stop, space. Yeah. What is it
Yeah,
I'm saying? It's proven, and we know that then the whole world is going to be digitalized in the next coming few months and matured over the next coming few years before
yeah.
2025 hits. And it has to be completed by 2030, okay, where the
Mm,
Agenda 30 takes place. Agenda 2030 is going to take place. And the whole world thereafter will have to go quantum grammar for these smart contracts to also be written in a mathematical grammar language.
yes,
And
yes.
hence, we now have a digital language for a digital age. We have digital medicine for a digital nation, and we have the sanctity of digital money for a digitalized people that will have 100% ownership of their own properties.
Well said. Well
Wow.
said, Mark.
Wow.
That
Wow.
was the cherry on top.
Wow.
Woo.
Now,
What can I say?
well, what you are going to do is you're going to teach me and another judge how this entire system works. You're actually going to teach me as a course, as
Mm,
well as the other students, and the students will be handpicked. We're not allowing anybody in because we've had enough of that garbage where we get problems out dealing with people that are infiltrators, psychopaths, narcissists, so on and so forth. You're going to teach us on a course how all this system works, and not only that, you're going to package it as a NFT and then sell that course, not sell, offer that course
offer.
as an NFT, as an NFT to the students that participated.
Yep.
So when that happens, say we picked up 1,000 students, there's going to be 1,000 of these courses. And once they've understood that course and they've put it into practice, in other words, how to NFT, tokenize
Mm,
their own intellectual property, their own physical properties, whether that be art, music, cars, qualifications, because qualifications can be NFT'd as well.
yes. Yes.
Their houses, once all of that can be NFTs, you're going to show us and you're going to package that. And they themselves, because they've paid for it, it's in their property, it's their ownership. They now will have, through the use of smart contracts, the ability to sell that course on to another man or a woman.
Man or woman, yeah.
And when they do that, the originator, which is you and somebody else, not me, gets a royalty. And when that third person sells it on to another man or a woman, the person that sold it as our student, also gets a loyalty.
Yes.
So if there is you, okay, and the other judges, and
yeah.
there is, that course exchanged hand 10 times, you're going to rig it up and can rig it up that each one will get a royalty every time it exchanges hands.
Yes, correct.
Making their university course on NFT one of the most profitable things on this planet.
Yes. We're gonna put where our mouth. We're gonna put the money where our mouth is, and actually demonstrate and apply this. We're not just gonna be theoretical here, because we're teaching this and we're gonna apply it.
That's
the
like
beauty of it.
to me, you are going to teach, as an example, how to create a bond out of a piece of gold, and then teach them how to move that piece of bond through the supply chain. And every time they do that, they get a percentage.
Yes.
In other words, wow. Do you know the Tricks and Traps course? I'm going to totally and utterly NFT it. After Christmas, I'm NFTing it. Yeah, I've already
There is
told
no
my
course
student.
like that.
There is no course like it on the
People
planet.
have rave reviews on that course. They said, "I never been to such a course like this." It is a perfect candidate for NFT, Mark. What can I say? It's
The Tricks and Traps, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the greatest investment that my students ever made. And the course that you guys are doing is also going to be one of the greatest courses the world has ever known.
It's the
Wow.
key to unlocking the future of your wealth. Say from novelty to necessity. That's in my mind. Those words that keep popping up, because this is going to be a necessity. If you're ahead of the curve, and this is what it is, we're ahead of the curve. We're gonna teach it, like you say, Mark, and we're gonna do it well. We're gonna do it so well and so comprehensively. That they're gonna get so much out of this. And
I've got a question for you. I've just thought it up. Hold on a minute. Okay, thank you very much for the course. You're now 80 years old and you've passed away. Does that mean your children can also inherit that course? Because you and the other judges inherit, created it?
It's transferable.
It's transferable. Oh my God! And if you don't like your children, you're going to say to them, "You're not inheriting that course. I'm taking it to the grave with me." Can you do that?
Well,
Well, the
it
answer is
depends.
yes,
You can do
because
that too.
yeah,
You can
because
do that
you
too.
have
It
the
becomes more
unique.
rarer. It becomes more rarer, the remaining tokens, the remaining NFTs. It might start up with 1,000 and then there's only like 50 left. It's like a collectible. These are the courses that was done back yonder,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, this is, and there is
Wow.
nothing, you can't duplicate that, you can't duplicate it
Because the system will not allow you to.
because the
Wow,
system will
fantastic!
not
Because it's a
allow you
digital.
to.
I am excited.
Clap.
I am excited.
Clap, clap. So same with the tricks and traps. You can't duplicate it. In fact, there is no course like that. From my experience, there is no course like that.
Wow,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, I'm just excited too. Like I'm teaching it, but I'm kind of like pinching myself. Like, is this real? Like for the first time, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
wow.
because of
Look,
maths,
because of maths, because of
Yeah,
David Wayne Miller,
because of
because
Dave
of the
Miller.
Titans. Yeah, wow.
He thought of this back in 1999. He got it into the language. I mean, if NFT was available, then he's probably gonna tokenize that.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
nobody else would know it. But yeah, that could be the inspiration for those titans. Who's thought of this. It's just like incredible.
Yeah. Hugh, I'm going to end it now.
Mm,
On a what a fantastic note. I was perplexed as to whether I should ask for some help and aid from the Titans, but I've got my answer now. And this is because of the back of the things that we've been doing. And in all honesty, my heart, my mind, my soul, all telling me I cannot allow these people that nearly brought this planet to its knees can go unpunished. I cannot allow the creators of mortgage debt pledges to go unpunished.
mm,
These things need to carry prison sentences. In virtually every faith in the world, if you ever created a death pledge, you get hung for that because that's the deepest form of witchcraft. It's the deepest form of malice. It's the deepest form of zero tolerance. It's
yeah.
it's a barbarism on an unprecedented scale. So, sometime today, I think about 3 o'clock, I'm going to ask help from the Titans as well as the general public, aid in putting these people into prison.
Mm,
We cannot have the whole of Ireland being anally raped, as it were. We cannot have the
mm,
whole of the Americans and South Africa that are experiencing wholesale rape, these privateers to be kept under check. I've done my very best to help the people, to put these people under arrest. I've given them a formula, the mechanism for it.
yes.
But I think now I know what needs to be done. And,
Yeah.
from the back of this tokenization and what you guys are going to create, it's breathtaking. It's empowered me,
Yeah.
totally empowered me. On a total when the Federal Postal Court was created, you know, it 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 put me in a very tranquil position. It put
Yes.
me in a position, and you folks as well, to realize that consenting to rape and all these sort of things is a no-no. And now that they've revealed so much of themselves, their perniciousness, it cannot ever be gone unpunished. In
Mm,
addition to that, the world of the Titans with the Titan money, as opposed to the Olympians' money, and the things that you guys are going to teach me, it has greatly inspired me.
yeah.
Greatly inspired me.
I'm happy. I'm happy too. Yeah. I can. I agree with what you say. So yeah, the call out is there, and ask and it shall be given.
Yeah,
Knock and
you
the door will
people
be
got
open.
to ask, people got to learn to ask, and that is also
No
something that
shame to
I've
that.
learned. I've got to learn to ask because I've been at this by myself for so long, and when you guys got trained up, it just it filled my heart to realize that there are people out there that actually want to stop and correct the world. It humbles me. So thank you very much, Hugh, as well as the other
No,
judge,
I
which
want
we
to
don't know
thank
who it's
you
going to
for your
be.
energy. I want to thank you for your dedication and your energy. All these decades that you're campaigning and you always stopping, correcting, and following on from the baton that David W. Miller has given you. You've carried it through with faithfully and with candor and steadfastness. So I want to say that to the audience from the bottom of my
Thank you very
heart.
much. Thank you very much, guys.
Right.
Thank you very much, you people out there.
Thank you.
Keep safe. Yeah, the world is ours. The world is yours. We can keep it safe from these people by actively participating. Thank you very much, you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.